Winter Orb always was in a very weird spot balance-wise. If it's weak, no one plays it. If it's getting buffed, it immediately becomes a map-clearing monster and everyone will play. This is what will happen in 3.29 because Winter Orb is getting direct and indirect buffs in the upcoming patch. Today we will talk about my super tonky Winter Orb Elementalist League starter. What's up guys, Pidget here. Winter Orb is a channeling skill. By channeling the skill, charge up an orb, which is fire icy projectiles that deals cold damage in an area where they land. The maximum stages by default is 10. If you want to deal the most of the damage, you need to keep channeling Ognis bosses or tougher rares. There is two parts of this skill. The channeling part. While you're doing it, you're shooting out projectiles more often. The idle part. This part has a duration. It will start countdown from 6 seconds and you slowly losing stages. While you're doing so, you can move around, it will shoot out projectiles, but much slower than while you're channeling. This is the time when you can just run around, shield charge, or just, flame dashing around, because everything just dies around you, because your Winter Orb will shoot out projectiles and that will kill monsters till it runs out and you need to channel again. Now let's talk about the buffs. Now it fires 2 projectiles at early levels and later at maximum level it shoots out 3 projectiles. The projectile number increase is very important because before this change you would need it to use greater multiple projectiles or support gems that was raising your maximum projectile numbers but was lowering down your damage significantly, but now we can drop this and use real support gems. The base critical hit chance is also getting increased, which is helping to cap your critical hit chance early on. Now is the question why I choosing Elementalist over Occultist or Assassin, for instance. Elementalist providing a lot of nice quality of life, damage and tonkiness at the same time, and also helping you in the early game as well significantly where your gear is not that good. With Shaper of Storms you can inflict a very huge amount of shock effects. We're talking about like 65%, which is a lot of damage increase on any build basically. Golem buffs, providing us cost speed, crit chance, damage increase and tonkiness, and also life regen as well, and increased area effect as well. So basically everything that this build needs exactly. Huge exposure effect thanks to the mastermind of Discord. Basically that is an additional huge damage multiplier, and this node is providing us like 20-25% more damage, which is very significant if you're comparing to any other ascendancies that you would use start at the league start. Gives us a huge defensive layer via Shaper of Flames. That is basically when you're igniting an enemy, you're converting the enemy physical damage to fire damage, 40% of it, improving your physical damage reduction. Although, if you want a little bit more damage or clear, you can just swap out this one and get Heart of Destruction for more clear and for more damage on signal target. First, I want to show you how I was simulating the changes, the buffs for this skill. Custom modifiers, I put skill fire 2 additional projectile, 1.5% to critical strike chance, because that is the base critical chance is getting increased, and that's why I put that one here. And also on the skill, level 20 Winter Orb will equal level 22 Winter Orb, so that's why in the PoB you will see a level 22 version of it. And also you will see here qualities as well, 30% quality, because it's getting changed in this league, guys. So if you socketing into the correct color, you will getting 10% increased quality, and the quality for this one is 1 additional stage, which is very welcome for this ability, because the more stage you have, the more frequency your projectiles will getting. And also very important, we can set the counts to 3, because this skill is shooting out 3 projectile, and all of the 3 project, thanks to the Elementalist golems and the Elementalist ascendancy node, we can overlap it, so that's why we can 3 times more damage. The skill tree looks like this. We focusing on very importantly the cold damage and also the cold spell levels as well. That is very important. Although in the early levels you can just swap out this cold mastery to get cold exposure on hit. So basically you will have cold exposure on hit from like level 40-ish, and also we focusing very big time the maximum shock effect. So that's why we choosing Elementalist as well, because Shaper of Stone will provide us all hits can shock, and basically we will increase our shock effectiveness till 65%, which is a very big damage increase. If you ask me, this is literally like 50% more damage, so that is pretty damn nice. And also we focusing on power charges as well, because power charges is providing us crit chance, right? And also crit multi as well, because we're taking the small nodes here, here, and here. And of course, we're taking the Disciple of Forbidden. So basically, we were getting increased damage per power charge as well. And of course, we're focusing on even further on the crits, crit chance and critical strike multiplier here. And also we're taking here the crit mastery. So we were inflicting even higher effectiveness of the non-damaging elements. So basically, this is why we can tick in 65% shock effect. And the defensive layer, guys, as always, I think these days you want block chance, right? So basically, we're taking here the Arcane Guarding, we're taking down here the aggressive bastion and as the maintain, and also taking the masteries here, the block mastery and the shield mastery. So basically we reaching 70% and 66% spell block chance. And the reason why we cannot really cap it, because we using a unique shield, Light of Lunaris. Speaking about Light of Lunaris, so it's time to talk about a little bit the items. So this build, I'm not saying it's requires, okay? I'm not saying it requires these two unique that you see here, Light of Lunaris and the Diodri's Damning. I'm not saying this one needs, because you can just literally just get a rare shield and you will getting less damage, and the Diodri's Damning is only getting used because you can apply an additional curse, because this build is using 2 curse in this build, and that's why I was choosing the Diodri's Damning. But I think that is very cheap, so you don't need to worry about this. But even if you, some weird reason you're saying that is expensive or whatever, you can swap out and you will still have like 2 million each DPS, and that is kind of good in my opinion, if you ask me. So even without all of this stuff, you not required to have these unique items, but it's good to have. And also, of course, these unique items will increase your damage significantly while sadly lowering down your maximum hits. But I can safely say, guys, I was taking a look on a few other POBs, and honestly none of them was having a decent amount of Fizzmax hit and also maximum hits on the elemental side. So so I can safely say this is the most stonkiest version of this build that you can just play in League Start. And of course later on maybe you will have much better numbers than this, like with Mage Blood, maximum resistances, right? So like 90% or something like that, maybe suppression as well. So there is a lot of things that you can do defensive wise, but currently I think this is the most stonkiest version that I was able to came up. Basically, the rest of the items, guys, is just rares. Literally rares with literally a tiny bit life. And I'm not including here resistances because in the custom configuration tab, I just slapped in 200% all elemental resistances because I'm lazy, guys. I will not click on it every single time, just as always. Although I want to raise your attention on the glove implicit. This is, I would say, kind of important because as you can see here, if I removing this glove, you will losing out 23% of your damage. Because when you inflicting cold exposure and hit, you will activating the Mastermind of Discord, so that is also providing us a lot of extra damage, so that's why I'm using that one. Although early on, once again, you can just take here the Cold Exposure on hit, and later on you can take the Cold Mastery +1 to all Cold skill gems, and basically you will have a pretty good base damage, a pretty good tonkiness combined using literally 1 life javel here and a little bit crit multi, and that's it. If this combination will be expensive, then you can just use the regular crit multiplier or use Watcher Eyes or Light of the Meaning Javels. There is a lot of things that you can do, but this is just the base idea that I was able to come up because honestly, I was a little bit skeptical about Winter Orb, but I was investigated a little bit further. I was taking my time and also put together the test character as well in Standard. So already it was decent-ish, but of course, the thing is, currently in the game, there is literally impossible to simulate the buffs, right? So that's why it's kind of decent-ish. Otherwise, it will be, I think, a pretty decent League Starter, this one. Although we just need to come up a good solution to the swap, when to swap it, right? Because I have a feeling that is from level 28 when the Winter Orb is available. It will be kind of struggling in my opinion. I think the good old way we will approaching this one, and that is when you completing your first labyrinth, you will getting the Liege of the Primordial, so you will have the golems as well, and here your golem commander, so you will have 4 golem that is helping us significantly in the early game. So I think I will try to swap at 34 when you completing your first labyrinth, or that is bad, it feels terrible, then we can just do on the second lab at 55. So basically you will getting the Shaper of Storms, but don't worry guys, I will publish leveling part as well, and we will see it where it takes us, because honestly this is a pretty damn new way to approach the Winter Orb, right? So I don't want to approaching with the power charge stacking, because I think that BS doesn't have that much Fizmox hit, and you know my goal most of the time is just face tank UBS, right? So basically that's why I don't think the power charge stacking is the way for us, but we will see how it's feeling and how it looks like the endgame POB. But currently this is the planned POB with absolutely basic rares and a few cheap unique items, and honestly I will give a shot this one, and we will see. The full build guide will coming following days when I finished up the leveling part, the full build guide, and also the endgame part as well, because I want to provide that one as well, you guys, if you're progressing faster than me. Till then guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any question, please leave a comment below, or you can find me on twitch.tv/2, or just in YouTube, where I also started streaming. Thanks for watching, I was Pidget, see you next time.